Welcome to our webinar about profitable e-commerce in Germany. We are, of course, thrilled about having so many people here. It just proves to us that it's a really nice country. Now we got Nadia here as well. Nadia is our German e-commerce specialist and is your source for the real truth about Germany in a few minutes. But yeah, again, welcome. Germany is a huge market. It has a big potential. It's also a little bit tricky, so that's maybe also why you're here. Maybe you already have started in Germany, or maybe you are considering Germany. So we try to navigate between these two situations as well. Yeah, that's the plan. I'll start with an introduction and talk a little bit about more how you approach a new market. Then we'll deep dive into Germany, and hopefully we'll have a good conversation during the process. So please, if you have questions, share them in the chat. I will try to bring them up if I can, or I will take them at the end, or we will at least answer in a follow-up email to all of you that we will send after the webinar. It will also be recorded if you think there are things you would like to revisit or share with colleagues, of course. So, Nadia, I think we should get started.
Yes, let's go.
I'll share my presentation here, and you can hopefully see it. So let's start. And as I said, a few things about starting in a new market before we dive into Germany and to Berlin, where Nadia is sitting with 10 great colleagues here from Makes You Local. Before we do that, just a brief introduction to Makes You Local and what it is that we actually do. We've been around for a long time, and what we bring to the table, so to speak, is that we have a native team for all the countries we operate in, including Germany. And in this team, we have native e-commerce specialists like Nadia. We have people really good at translations, and we have people doing customer service and back office tasks for our clients. This means that we can do all the things that requires you speak German, you understand German culture and German e-commerce. And that is maybe what we bring to most of our clients. That is that they can launch and operate a shop in a country like Germany without hiring people in their home market to do so, hiring people speaking German. So maybe a faster and easier start into a new market. We've been around for 14 years. We have a day-to-day responsibility for more than 250 webshops where we do their translations and customer service across Europe. Here are some of the brands. You probably know some of them, but I think what's really important is that when a webshop starts in a new country or when a brand starts selling in a new country, no matter if it's Sephora or it's a small two-man band, they have the same situation on day one. They have 0 customers, and they have a lot of potential consumers. They need to meet their expectations to succeed. So what they need from us, what you need if you are small, if you're big, is probably to some extent the same. So we help all types of clients and hopefully some of you as well at some point. Good. We cover most of Europe, Spain, Italy, and some of the Eastern European countries came through good partners, but all the other countries, the pink countries here, we have our own internal staff working with these markets, sitting in one of our 4 offices here in Europe. So that was just an introduction to Makes You Local. So I think we should move forward and talking about what is it actually that is important when you select a new market. And I brought this question because that's probably the question I get the most. Which country should I go for? What are the most important things to take into account? And of course, the biggest, and this is often where Germany gets into the picture, it is a huge market. Can you get started, get momentum here? You have a really good case probably. So that could be a choice going for that. It could also be the market that are similar to yours. That could be people having the same habits and culture like your own. Nadia, is that your background noise I can hear? Could you try muting yourself?
Yes.
Just while you're not speaking? And just see if it helps. Thank you. So is it the most similar to how you are in your own country, or maybe the market closest to where you're based? So there can be many reasons for it. I think the most important one that always trumps the other ones is the best brand recognition. Because if you're selling a brand, if you are a brand that are well known in a market compared to a market where you are not known, that will be a huge advantage. It's just much easier for at least getting a short-term success in a market that you're actually known there, your products are known there. You can tap into Google searches, you can tap into searches on social media for the brand, and that's much easier to convert them or to attract these consumers than it is to build a brand from scratch. Of course, if you look at a more long-term project, then maybe it makes sense to go into a market where you're totally unknown, building a brand over the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years. But it's important to understand the difference between these two projects. Are you selling jeans and you have a new brand and going into a market where there are a lot of strong players? It's really hard to get that brand building done and become a player in that market. So brand recognition is really, really important when you choose market. So besides that, the relevance of the product, that's also an important place to start. One example is we have been working with a Danish really cool guy selling badminton equipment. It's a sport, played a lot in Denmark, played a lot in Asia, but actually there's a lot of countries where there are very, very few people playing that. So they have actually a limited amount of countries where they can launch the shop in. So that's one criteria to look at. Then, of course, the physical distance and the expectations in your industry. If you are in an industry where next day delivery is crucial, and you think Spain is a good market, but you're based in Norway, that will require a new warehouse. And that requires extra costs, cash flow. So that's something I also take into account. Is that the best opportunity for at least the first or second market for a website? Because it is a huge cost and a much bigger risk if it fails. And then I would look at the competition. When you look at the top competitors, those who sell online today and take a lot of the revenue from the market, can you look at them and see that you are actually better than them on some specific areas? Can you find a segment of customers or a price range, quality price range, where you see here's an opening for me that fits well? That will also be something I would dive into before selecting the right market. I get a question here from Vivian. What tools do you use to find out if a product or a category is relevant for the market? The way we approach it is that we do what we call a market entry report. So where we take one of the things we do in that report, we do a lot of things, but one of them is we take the most important products for our client and say, if you look at these products, how are they sold in that country? Who are selling them? Do they seem to be popular? And can you compete with the competitors on these products in terms of quality and price and such things? So that's part of the research we do. And in that market entry report, we also compare your offering with the competition in the market. So that's actually a good way of diving into that. Yeah. Good. I hope that was a good answer to you, Vivian. Otherwise, you just have to repeat the question, elaborate a little bit. Then, when I have a few countries on my list, maybe, I would try to do the math. I think it's really important that we also dive a little bit into the detail. One thing that I love what people do is that they do a income per order calculation. So you simply figure out, if I have for instance, on the left side in your home market, have a basket size of 150 euros. Then try to do the math on an order level. What is the average order shipping fee I get in? Maybe I have a shipping fee of 5 euros, but in average, maybe I only get 2.5 because sometimes I have free shipping, sometimes I give a voucher, whatever it can be. Then I have some import taxes, maybe I have some shipping costs, I have the product cost, return handling, warehouse cost. Put all these things into your Excel sheet and figure out what is left. And maybe you have 25 euros left in your home market. And when you then do the math for Germany, you might have another calculation. You might have a different shipping cost. There's a pretty good chance you'll have a higher return rate in Germany. We'll get back to that later as well. And you might also find that Germans are buying less per order or more per order in average. Putting in these different numbers for Germany, maybe for Amazon in Germany, which also could be a challenge for you, maybe for Netherlands or Poland, and then compare the income per order, because the income per order, that's the amount you have left to do your marketing and to pay for your fixed costs. And this is also where you can see that when I go into Germany, if I only make €8 per order, but I actually make 20 in my home market, well, maybe I should allocate more marketing resources in my home market instead of investing in a new. That could also be the conclusion you end up with. So a really good tool to get into the detail of it and really understand how the economy is connected in a new market. Yeah. So just repeating maybe a little bit the 4 steps that I think is really important. Understand the competition. What are you up against? Before you start localizing your web shop and setting up everything, you need to be convinced that you actually have a product and that you can sell it to the customers in that market, that you can win customers from your competitors in that market. Then I would plan for a friction-free customer journey. Us as consumers, we are spoiled. So if the customer journey is a little bit bumpy, I need to figure out how to pay with a new payment method. I need to figure out how to return in a new way. There's a good chance we'll leave the basket in the web shop and find another place to purchase. So you are not, as a new entry on the market, the one who should teach them about how you sell in Germany in this case. Try to meet their expectations so you don't create unnecessary friction. They need to learn your brand. They need to think you're cool, having nice products. You don't want to disturb that experience with the things that you could avoid. Understand the marketing challenge. Really try to dive a little bit into this and see what will it require from me to actually get traffic on my website in this market. What are the channels? What are the budget I need to work with? So you make sure that you have put this money aside before you start localizing your web shop. Again, it's not about launching. It is about actually getting some customers and making some money at the end in a new market. So wrap your head around the marketing challenge also before you start. And then plan for 6 months without orders. And that might seem a little bit tough. But my point here is that it is not easy. It's a whole new market. There's a lot to learn. So if you set the bar too high with a big budget for the first 6 months, you will probably struggle to meet these numbers. And that makes the journey a lot less fun than if you are a little bit less ambitious and you win every day when you get a new customer and you actually have time to learn and reflect and think of new ways of doing things before you turn up the budget a little bit. So try to create some space for yourself, for your organization, by saying, well, the first 6 months, we need to do it the right way. We need to make some mistakes. We need to learn new things. And then we will start estimating what we can sell in the future, but create space for that. That's the 4 things that I would prioritize if I was starting up a new country tomorrow. And that was maybe, now we're on the way to you, Nadia. One thing I would like to say also is that we have the local e-commerce experts, and just saying that if you need them for 2 hours, well, then that's an option. If you need them to do all the customer service, then that's an option. So you can use us in different ways. It's not like an all or nothing solution we offer. And then in addition, we have really strong technical solutions that can help you with effective translation. We have an AI supported tool that is really, really strong and have reduced the cost of this a lot over the last 6 months. We have good automated customer service solutions that also use technology, and you can easily tap into them in these new markets. That's a good way of launching fast and at low cost. And now we'll dive a little bit more into Germany, Nadia. Will you take it from here? And then you need to unmute again, I guess. We can't hear you. No. We're giving Nadia 2 seconds, but she will dive a little bit into more of the special things in Germany and their expectation to you as a web shop. And we can still not hear you, Nadia. Yeah. Nadia, go into settings on your top right on the screen, click on audio, and now we can hear you.
Now you can?
Yes, go ahead.
Perfect. Of course, there was going to be some technical issues. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, moving on. Welcome, everybody. First of all, I would like to introduce you to the German market with some numbers, but not too many, as you will also get this fact sheet that you see on the right here. You will also get this in a follow-up email, so you can have all the numbers. But yeah, there are around 85 million people living in Germany, of which 89% of the adults are shopping online, which is probably not that different from any other European country. And just to put this a little bit into perspective, Germans are spending around 174 euros per month on online shopping, which is almost twice as much as Polish adults spend, and about the same as the French are spending. Yes, the e-commerce net sales in Germany in 2023 sum up to around 102 billion euros. As a comparison to that, the net sales in the Netherlands, for example, were only 33 billion euros in the same year. But now I would like to dive in a little bit into what makes Germany so unique. So first of all, Germany places a high value on data privacy and security, fostering a culture of trust among online consumers. And this emphasis on data protection alone sets the German market apart from others. German consumers are also highly aware of data privacy issues, and companies that operate in Germany often go to great lengths to ensure transparency about how the data is collected, stored, and used. And this transparency helps build consumer trust, which is critical in the competitive e-commerce market. Next, the payment methods. Unlike many other Western countries, Germany has a relatively low rate of credit card usage. Germans are traditionally a bit more debt averse and prefer payment methods that actually allow them to spend money they already have, such as PayPal, direct bank transfers, or debit cards. And this preference is specifically linked to the cultural tendency to avoid unnecessary credit and maintain a financial stability. Next up, how could we discuss the German market without mentioning the law? Naturally, the market operates under strict regulations that prioritize consumer protection and fair standards. For example, there's the Fernab-Gesetz, which governs online shopping by ensuring consumers receive clear information, have specific withdrawal periods, and are protected in various aspects of their transactions.
And you can say now, just elaborating a little bit from the outside, well, it's the same rules and in the rest of EU, but the Germans have been maybe a little bit more specific in implementing them. And you're also a little bit more, you care a little bit more about us keeping the rules. Is that correct?
That is correct. And it's especially correct because, like I already said, like the consumers are very aware of those rules and they will check if that everything is correct. So yes, very important. Last but not least, Germany also has a well-established and efficient delivery network that is facilitated by partnerships between e-commerce companies and logistic providers. Services like DHL, Hermes, and DPD as well have extensive coverage and offer reliable and swift delivery options. And this also explains why the German market has seen a rise in the popularity of same-day or next-day delivery. and that is also why consumers have higher expectations for quick order fulfillment. So that is very important. And maybe just a little side note to that, over 80% of Germans still prefer a home delivery, while the rest, the 12 or 20%, prefer a delivery to what is a parcel shop or a Packstation. I guess that is also very common in Scandinavia, for example.
Just adding to that, I think that's a really good example of a localization thing that we can sometimes easily forget, because we also have home delivery where I'm sitting in Denmark, and we also have parcel shops. So I would think, well, naturally most people use parcel shops or delivery at pickup points. But it's important to understand the way Germans expect things, because it is a little bit more expensive for you to deliver at home, probably in Germany, than it is to deliver to like pickup point. But maybe you have to offer it.
Yes, and also very important is that if the delivery time cannot be fulfilled, then transparency is very important. So inform the customer. They hate nothing more than being kept in the dark and having to reach out by themselves. Like, that is unheard of. So rather inform the customer than them having to reach out. That kind of also brings us to the next slide, which is typical mistakes that we see that foreign shops make. Starting off again with ignoring local regulations. So German laws, like the data protection and consumer protection regulations, they're very stringent, and it can be challenging because, like Max said, German laws often require more detailed compliances than what you might be used to in your home market. And yeah, so for example, simply translating the terms and conditions cannot be enough for Germany, because foreign web shops also need to ensure that their practices align with the local laws. And a failure to do so can result in legal issues, such as being sued by competitors or consumer protection organizations, and also receiving significant fines. And it's
again, being from the outside, well, it happens in Germany. It will never happen in the same way in many other countries. So that's also where it's different.
Yes. And it's also about building trust with the customers who are, like I said, very aware of their rights, and they expect companies to respect them in that way. So ensuring that all legal requirements are met can enhance a company's reputation and lead to greater customer loyalty. And I think especially the trust part is something that you're going to hear me talk about a lot in the next few minutes. So yeah, just be aware of that. Another mistake we see is inadequate translations and localization. So language is deeply intertwined with culture, and simply translating words and like without considering the cultural context can lead to misunderstandings or maybe messages that don't resonate very well with a different target audience. So, for example, humor, idioms, and references that work well in one language might not make sense in another, or yeah, could even be offensive in German, maybe. So, yeah, so the localization requires adapting the content to fit the cultural values, norms, and sensibilities of the target audience. And in Germany, this could mean maybe also being more formal or direct in communication, as well as considering regional differences, but I will come back to that a little bit later. Next mistake we see is not offering local payment or delivery methods. So this is a mistake because it disregards the strong consumer preferences for secure, familiar, and trusted options, and it could drive customers away, leading to lost sales, more abandoned carts, and also a weaker market position. So for foreign web shops, adapting to those preferences is not just a best practice, but a necessity for successfully entering and thriving in the German market. Last but not least, also ignoring German customer service expectations can be a mistake, because failing to provide high quality customer support in German also undermines trust and competitiveness in the market, where professionalism, transparency, and reliability are valued very much. So to succeed in Germany, a foreign business must prioritize high quality customer service that also aligns with the cultural and legal standards. And another important thing is that good customer service can turn first-time buyers into repeat customers. So that could also raise your conversion rates. And obviously, ignoring all of those or making those mistakes as a consequence could drop conversion rates. And yeah, it'd be a mistake in general. Okay. Next, let's talk about cultural nuances or differences, maybe even. So the first thing I would like to talk about is the communication style. I've already mentioned it once, and I know Max will mention it again as well. Germans tend to be very direct and precise in their communication, and they value straightforward dialogue and also appreciate when people get straight to the point. I know that, for example, in Scandinavian countries, it can be a little bit more reserved and polite, maybe, within kind of to avoid conflict and maintain harmony. That is a little bit different in Germany. Next is the consumer behavior in general. German consumers are generally very price sensitive. So yeah, they place a strong value on getting good value for their money, and they're often careful spenders and look into discounts, deals, and high quality products, but for a reasonable price. Next up, kind of the most important thing I would say is the cultural differences within the country. A lot of times foreign businesses tend to forget that Germany is a very, very big country, and within the country we have 16 different federal states, and of course some of those states are familiar or similar, but in general there are different holidays, traditions, and different happenings that should be considered. One example would be Carnival, for example. This is a big happening in cities like Cologne and Düsseldorf, for example, but it's not a big deal at all in Berlin or Hamburg. So all of this needs to be considered in marketing efforts, but also when it comes to localization and translation. So on the right side here, you can see an example of our annual marketing wheel, which we do annually. And this includes every important event in Germany or in the respective market, and also includes things that you should be aware of when trying to market something in those specific times. So you will get the link to that later on.
It's a free resource that's on our website as well, so you can actually choose the markets you would like to have this from. So it's more than this page. It's it's a few pages more with good information that is relevant for your marketing team for sure.
Yes, and I can see there's a question in the chat.
I'll take it a little later. Let's just finalize this slide.
Yes. Yes, that's actually finalized with that.
Right. Then let's take the question that you can. Is it necessary to have customer service in German?
Yes and no. I would say more yes, at least on one channel. It doesn't have to be a German phone service, but not everyone in Germany speaks English, for example. So it is always recommended to have some sort of local customer service or help available to the customers. Also, again, to just build the trust that the customers are being heard and can be helped accordingly.
I also think that's what we have learned over the last 14 years, but we've also been a little bit more the different ways of doing it now, I think. So we are also offering from, smaller automated solutions where you actually do a lot of things in German, but if you have a more detailed, specific question that requires a personally answer, it might be in another language, might be in English, it might be handled by a native team, but you can actually shift between that. So there are different options of meeting this requirement today.
Yeah.
So
okay, I think Max, you are next.
Yeah.
Back up.
Just a few words on brand awareness and marketing. I think just remembering this is a good thing. You go into a new market and you ask a person that has a product today. Often, it's not so often we bring totally new things to the market, so they get their problem solved already. They have probably a web shop or a physical store they are happy with, and a product they're happy with, and that's the people we want to attract to our web shop and sell to. So it's not an easy task, and it requires some good thinking to do that. First of all, adapt the brand message. Look at the competitors, their strengths, and figure out how you should adapt to that. The cultural differences that Nadia mentioned earlier, also part of it, so that you actually communicate directly to these consumers and maybe touch on things that they don't get in the existing offering they have. Remember they're formal. Remember that they would like to know more than we would, at least here in Denmark, but also in many other countries. They are more detailed. They are the ones who can call customer service and ask us to send the manual of a product before they buy the product. For sure, would never happen for me. I'll take the problems when they come. So there are differences that you need to take into account here. That is actually also what we try to do in that market entry report I mentioned earlier, that you actually can look at the competitors, how they act, and try to find your spot in that picture. Adapt the brand message. This is here where I just took this example. It's one of our own clients. This is a Danish and a German version, and what you can see is that they are almost 100% identical. And this is not wrong. It doesn't have to be wrong, but it is for sure not localized. So it's really important to keep this in mind. How would the Germans, in this case, adapt to this message? The only thing that actually happened here is that we've translated it, and then we've increased the limit for getting the free gift, probably due to shipping costs are higher. So be careful when you, on a day-to-day basis, you have a lot of things to do, that you remember to still try to localize the messaging. Another thing that we tend to forget sometimes is that in our home market we have a well-established platform. We have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram account, we maybe have a TikTok account, we maybe sell on the marketplace, and our own web shop. When we go into a new country, we can't just go in with one of them and expect the same. So you need to complete that picture a little bit, and maybe you need a German Instagram account, maybe you need a TikTok, maybe you need some influencers to support that picture. So when the consumers surf around, they get a feeling of your brand in different channels, and not only the one you selected to go with in the first place. And then, of course, we come back to you, Nadia, and the marketing part also.
Let's hope my mic works. Can you hear?
It does.
Perfect. Yes. So when we talk about brand awareness, there's obviously things that you can do to create this brand awareness that everyone's probably aware. That also involves Google and Meta ads and keywords. But the key here is also in Germany not to just translate them, but to localize the content to fit the cultural values, the norms, and the sensibility of the target audience. So basically what Max said, you could translate, but to really speak to your target audience in Germany, you would have to localize both of those things. And obviously, influencer cooperations and also physical stores. Yeah, that's probably not that different from the home market, but probably still worth mentioning because it is a big thing in Germany as well, influencer cooperations, and there's different ways to approach it.
Yeah, and you can say all these things together is, of course, part of also both building your brand, adding consumers into the funnel, and also convert them to customers, because we are shopping between channels. Sometimes we prefer a physical store to place the order. Sometimes we do it online. In other situations, it's the physical store that is our browsing job, that's our entertainment, and then later on we go online. So there's different ways of doing it. Just a little comment to the performance marketing and social media marketing. It doesn't mean you need to have a German agency and find that and work with that. You probably have good people already, because the disciplines in these things are the same. They know how to do Google Ads, your team, probably. So that's also where we can help you localize this, so you don't have to go out and find a new agency and explain your brand to them.
Yes.
There's a question over here. Do you recommend to have localized social media accounts, one for Denmark, one for Germany, or can you use the same communication in English?
I think this kind of depends on if the content itself is also speaking to a German audience, because, for example, for a Scandinavian social media account, you might advertise midsummer, for example, but that is not very relevant for a German customer. So it really depends on where you work.
Yeah, so if you do it in English, you will probably have a lot of your content that will not be relevant in one market or another market, and that's one of the other things than the language in this one. I guess it's also still the way that if you want to have people's interaction and participate in the dialogue, you will have a much higher participation if you do it in local language.
Yes, for sure. Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Great.
Okay, but moving on to marketplaces. There's the top 5 in Germany, so you've probably all heard of them. Amazon, eBay, Otto, Zalando, and also Kaufland. And I would first like to talk about some of the benefits that marketplaces can have. So obviously marketplaces have a established customer base, and listing your products on these platforms can expose your brand to a very large audience that already trusts the platform. And this can significantly boost visibility and also attract customers who might discover your brand through this channel then. The next benefit is trust and credibility. So marketplaces are well known and trusted by German consumers. And associating your products with a already well-known marketplace can also lend your brand credibility and help build trust more quickly. And this trust can then help also reduce the skepticism around a new foreign brand and lead to faster acceptance in the market. And lastly, a lot of marketplaces often offer marketing tools, such as sponsored ads and promotions that are already tailored to the local preferences and search behaviors. So these tools can help you improve your product's visibility and target specific customers effectively. But of course, there's also challenges. And the first one we always like to mention is that a marketplace customer is not your customer. So marketplaces function as resellers, and you are effectively only one seller among a lot of them, so among many. So technically, the customer is buying your product, but it's ultimately not your customer. And the challenge here is to keep your product interesting and interesting enough to be kept on this roster of many sellers and a lot of competition.
And then you can say, of course, that you don't have the value of giving a good customer experience, and then you'll have a repeat customer, because every time you need to win them again among the competition.
Yeah. So not only your product, but also your brand needs to be interesting enough to be, repetitively on there. Yes, I already mentioned competition. So obviously you're one amongst many. So there's high competition on major platforms, and this can make it very difficult to stand out, and especially for brands that are entering the market very freshly, so they're new to the market. Another challenge is the costs. So marketplaces typically charge fees for listing and selling, and they also often offer to provide integrated logistics, so a warehouse in the country, customer service solutions. They also help out with marketing, so it's this expert help kind of, but that is all very costly, and everything involves additional costs.
And you can say it's rarely something you can choose not to do. You need probably to be in their warehouse in many situations to come up on the listings. You might need to spend money on Amazon or other marketplace to get up on the listing. You need expert help maybe at home to figure out how to do your marketing, how to do your product text to get up on the listing. So it is a costly thing. And then we get to the brand control, Nadia.
Yes.
I think we're a little bit slow on time, lack of time.
That's my last point, and then you could go ahead. So brand control is just basically that obviously you have less control over your brand's presentation compared to what you would have on your own website. And that's basically it. So there's
you mean the environment your product is presented in is among your competition all the time, where you on your website can create your own.
You stand alone.
You can express your values much more better there.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Good. Then we will talk a little bit about conversion rates, because this is maybe the single thing that what I've seen over time is making the biggest difference, and not because we don't think conversion rate is important, but because this is so closely connected to localization. This is where, when we talk to clients that are struggling, this is where we always look first, because this is where we often have the biggest impact by letting people like Nadia go through the website and adjust for all the small mistakes that can be hard to see for us from the outside. That makes a big difference in the market. And this is going to be even worse looking forward, I think, because it has never been easier to localize a web shop. We know a lot. We have systems that are prepared for it, and AI also speak German, so we can easily get a German site. But since everybody then will be doing it, then the German consumer and all other consumers have millions of web shops to choose between. So how do you stick out in a positive way? How do you know that you actually mean it, that you care also when the consumer want to return or have a complaint? Are you then ready to handle that as well? If you only spend 20 minutes localizing a site for German. So how do you make them believe that you actually care and you're in it for them as well? And I think there are three things you should look into: being transparent, being clear about who you are, what are your history. Really try to be transparent towards the consumers. One place that I often go as a consumer is about the company page, because it often is clear for me when I look at that if this is a quick page that is set up, let's see if we can do business here, or it is something that is actually has a history and are committed to the case. I just took an example here. I took away the brand, but as a Scandinavian company operating within health supplements, we develop, promote, and sell our own products online. Our ambition is to secure better health for individuals by offering health supplements in a good quality. There's nothing wrong with this, but it doesn't give me a feeling of what kind of company is this. I just took the liberty of rewriting it a little bit. But if you put in a little bit more, where you're from, we're from probably Trondheim in Norway. We started in 2007. We've been in Germany since 2017. We have 10,000 German customers. You can read more about us on our Instagram account. You don't need to add a lot more to actually show that you are a real company, where the other one was, well, you could have written that yesterday and you didn't even need to have a company to write it. So think about things like that. Accessible. Is it easy to get in touch with you on your website? Can they speak with you? Another example, this is Mutatas, one of our big German clients, or Swedish clients in Germany. This is from their customer service page. You can chat with them, you can write an email, you can call them. Being accessible means a lot, and Nadia was talking about that earlier as well. The magic 5%, with this I mean that, of course, do everything, use technology as much as you can so you are cost efficient. But the magic 5%, that is Nadia and her colleagues in the other countries that looks through the site, make sure that you don't make any small mistakes, because these 5% is what gets your conversion rate on the level you have in your home market. And again, if you spend 10,000 on marketing in Germany with one conversion rate, 1% maybe, and get 100 new clients, then you would have had 200 new clients if you had a 2% conversion rate. And going from 1 to 2 is what we often see we can do with actually removing all the small mistakes here. So meet their expectations, meet them in the language, try to do the right way that for them is what they expect. Transparent, accessible, and the magic 5%. Then the last thing I will spend 2 minutes on is returns. And this is relevant because we talk about Germany. This is a Danish fashion brand that told me this, selling 100 dresses in Germany, then you'll get 70 back. That's scary numbers for many, I think. And of course, we take a product that is probably one of the worst categories when it comes to returns. And that's not what happens across all other products, but still Germany has a higher return rate than other countries. So you need to be aware of that. And that's also why that's an important point on your income per order calculation. If you come from a market with very low returns, you need to take this into account. As you can see at the bottom here, you need to sell more than 300 dresses to sell 100 dresses. First of all, avoid them in the first place. Secure that you have all the information we need as consumers, size comparisons, all these things. A live chat is actually also a really good way to help customers take the right decision so they don't end up buying the wrong size or buying 3 sizes because they can't really figure out what they should choose. Make sure your pictures are great so they can see the colors, the sizes and stuff compared to a person. All these kind of things that makes it easier for us as consumers to take a decision. Maybe even use the green card a little bit. It's not good for the world. So try to choose only one. And if you choose the wrong size, we'll make sure we help you right away with the right size. Another important thing, and this has to do with your conversion rate again, you need to have a competitive return process. Again, consumers, they check them. And if it looks difficult or expensive or hard to do, well, they might choose another webshop. So a well-known process, you don't want to teach them a new return method. A convenient one, you could be DHL. They have 36,000 places, I've been told, to drop off a return in Germany, probably one close to your new customers. Make it not expensive. It doesn't have to be free all the time. It is going towards actually okay to charge for it. In fashion, many would expect it for free. Fast. If you return an expensive product, you don't want to wait 3 weeks to get your money back. So maybe you should consider having a fast process. You could handle it in Germany and then bulk ship your products back. There are different ways to approach this. And finally, have an effective one internally. And this means simple processes, clear guidance in the package, on the site, through a chatbot. Get all these things done so your expensive, clever customer service people don't have to sit and answer questions about how do I return, but instead can focus on customers with real problems that need help on guiding in sizes or other things so they buy something. This is where you need to make sure you don't spend your money. And then, of course, the logistic costs. Be careful they don't run through the roof when you go in Germany with a higher return percent than you have in your home market. Good. That was a lot of things, and we are a little bit late, but any questions at the end, please put them in. I will try to put them on the screen, and we'll see if we can answer them. If not, send them. We'll answer later and maybe in the follow-up email. Anything you want to add, Nadia, here at the end?
No, I was just gonna also mention that about the return costs, because I get a lot of questions about that, if it's necessary to have free return, but you covered that perfectly. So nothing to add from my side.
All right, here's our email addresses. We'll send a mail to you. You can just write to us, or you can reach out through our website. Thank you for having you all. Have a really great day and a great weekend when you get to that.
Have a good week.
That's all from us. Bye-bye.
Bye.